All right, guys, we have the Year 7 Part 2 Anniversary LRs. We're starting off with my boy, Great Ape Vegeta. He's looking very, very good. Dokkan has blessed him with a very good EZA. Only 55% in the dupe system. Somehow in 3 years, I've never managed to pick up a dupe in him. He is level 10 links though, however, and we do have him on Carnival LRSSJ for Goku's 220% lead. So very much looking forward to trying him out. He is starting with a 395k attack stat, 211k defense. He is starting the turn with key +3, attack and defense plus 200%. Does have that 20% damage reduction and guaranteed guard to start with. And because he is in slot 1, he is also getting 60% extra defense, damage reduction of 40%. So that's guard and 60% damage reduction. Only has same warrior race, same raw shot and the limit active. The only other link you're really going to get active with Vegeta is legendary power. So that's pretty much all he's going to have, which is fine. We are going to get an 18 key with him. And then because we're guaranteed to have our guard active, because of course we are sitting in slot 1 and he has guaranteed guard, he's also going to gain key +3 and 60% attack and defense for 3 turns. So we're starting out with double digits on normals, kind of to be expected with that much damage reduction and guard. 15.7 on the 18 key super attack. That is also a 50% defense raise for the turn as well. Of course, it is an AoE. Not too many events where you're actually going to be able to utilize the fact it is an AoE, but don't forget it is there. Gohan should be good, especially with this buff. Yeah, 470. I mean, that's a lot of damage, yes, but he does have type disadvantage. And he is only a heroes unit. So I'll take it. I'll take it. If Vegeta did hit an additional super, he does get that 50% attack raise and 30% defense raise for the turn. And then, of course, we're also getting an extra key +1 per key sphere obtained. So Vegeta's key issues, I think Dokkan knew. Because Vegeta only has links like Transform, over 9,000, maybe even shattering the limit, just because not many units have that. Like a few do, like a few good ones, but not many. The fact he gets an extra key +1 per keys for obtained does actually kind of help him out quite a bit. We can already get one of the Super Saiyan 4 Gokus out, so that's exactly what we're going to do with the Giant Ape transformation. And then as long as Vegeta is getting 12 or more key, which naturally you're going to do because you're going to hit a 12 key super attack, he's going to get an extra 160 attack and defense. And then if you hit an 18 key super attack, because it's when attacking with 18 key or more, which, I mean, if you get very unfortunate with orb placement, maybe you'll miss out on, he will also get an extra 160% defense on top of that. But if we were to move Vegeta into slot 2 or slot 3, Vegeta will have 60% extra attack and a 70% chance of an additional super. So you can kind of take your pick. Although I don't see anyone really ever putting him into slot 2 or slot 3, just because you miss out on too much. Like if you don't have him in slot 1, you miss out on 40% damage reduction. Also, to come out of the anniversary so far, Vegeta is one of the only slot 1 units that we've pretty much got. You know, we don't really have any like slot 1, out and out slot 1 units until you get the Gogeta fusion, you maybe get the Vegito fusion, like just a unit that is an out and out slot 1 unit. Vegeta is one of the rare few at the moment that do go on these 220% leads. So even though that second or third slot buff is nice, there's hardly ever going to be a time where you move him out of slot 1 just because you are missing out on a lot of damage reduction and 60% defense as well. Let's not forget about that. He does lose quite a bit of defense, but it's just more valuable to have him in slot 1 because you're going to have guard, 20% damage reduction in base, and then for being in slot 1, an extra 40%. That's 60% damage reduction and guaranteed guard. So as I said, I don't see anyone really ever maneuvering Vegeta outside of slot 1 just because you're just missing out on too much. Which is fine because again, we needed some slot 1 units and that's exactly what Vegeta is. And then if you manage to pick up 24 key, Great Ape Vegeta will have attacks effective against all types, which is very nice. But it is nice to actually finally have like an out and out slot 1 unit to go with all of these brand new units from the 10th anniversary, the new EZAs, the super EZAs. It's nice to actually have a slot 1 unit that can go onto one of these 220 leads. So Jeets is actually a bit of a breath of fresh air. We can get the next Super Saiyan 4 Goku out, which is exactly what we're going to do. This is what I was looking forward to. This is what I was waiting for. Because not only does Great Ape Vegeta have a 220% lead, but he goes on a 220% lead with Super Saiyan 4 Carnival LR Goku, who's giving out, what, 44% attack and defense on SAFX, especially if you run 2, so we can actually make the most of that. So that is going to be active going into this turn as well. Then, because we're transforming my Carnival LRSJ4 Goku, we're going to have that Giant Ape power support as well. So that's 70% defense and 10% damage reduction. And again, while that 10% alone, while that 10% isolated doesn't go very far, that's 10% on top of, as long as Great Ape Vegeta is in slot 1. That's 10% on 60 he already has. So that's going to be 70% damage reduction and guard, with an extra 60% defense in there as well, and all the extra attack and defense he gets for getting 12 and 18 key. And then as long as his guard is active, which you're never not going to get that guard buff because he has guard. So his guard is always going to be activated. However, that doesn't come into play or calculate until Vegeta gets hit. So after Vegeta gets hit, he will get key +3, 60% attack and defense for 3 turns, which is another reason why you do want to put him in slot 1. So what are we on now? We're on 911k in terms of attack, 574k defense. Again, now with the Giant Ape power support, 70% damage reduction in total, and also guard. And we're actually going to be able to utilize the AoE 18 key. Again, there aren't going to be too many events where you actually get to utilize that, apart from like ESBR. But we're going to get to utilize it here. And he does have type advantage against 18. This shouldn't really do anything. Yeah, 67 damage. 17.5 million attack stat, and that's at 55%. So while Kaioken Goku will clearly, haven't even used him yet, but will clearly out damage him, Kaioken Goku is literally the epitome of a glass cannon. Like, he'll do a ton of damage, that's great, but he has no safety net whatsoever, whereas Jeets is putting out moderately good damage. Again, this is at 55%. If you have him like a dupe, 2 dupe rainbow, you're probably looking at like over 20 mil, which is good damage. Especially if you factor in any additionals, any crits. It's solid damage. It still is. You know, while we're seeing some crazy attack stats, 20, like just over 20 mil is still good damage. So mine at 55%, just doing under 20 mil. It's moderately good damage, but Jeets has that guaranteed safety net. Jeets has the guard, the damage reduction, the extra defense and damage reduction in slot 1. More attack and defense, more defense with 12 and 18 key. And then, as I said, he has one of the best supports in the game with Carnival LRSJ4 Goku, giving him an extra 10% damage reduction and the extra 70% defense as well. And because we do have him on Carnival LRSJ4 Goku's 220% lead, and we have 1 on each rotation, Jeets can also benefit from the SAFX support as well. This is why I was really waiting to get into like part 2, part 3 of the 10th Annie, because then Super Saiyan 4 Goku's 220% lead not only gets better, but then he's also helping out more units. Like, we still have the part 1 year 7 EZAs to come. We still have the LRSJ4s to get their EZA to also go onto this team. So even with 1 new unit, which is obviously the Goku, because his support is so good, and now with Jeets being a slot 1 and then eventually getting the year 7 LRs, his category is already going to be in a much better spot because of how good his support is. And because you're on his 220, you have dual leads, you have double support. You could take advantage every single turn because it lasts for 2 turns, the SAFX support as well. So Jeets is looking very good right now. Jeets is in a very good spot, and as I said, because of Jeets' EZA, he looks even better because he's on a dual lead with Carnival LSJ4 Goku. Now, we do still have to lose some HP to trigger his active skill. We did actually have it ready there, but we just recovered some health. So if we don't get it in like his next appearance, I'll probably leave it. I mean, it's only a giant ape form. I'm not overly bothered to show it off. However, Jeets' giant ape form is actually looking useful. You know, you guys know how I feel if you've been on the channel for a while. If not, I'll let you know now. I'm not a fan of like Fury modes, giant ape forms. 19.3 there. See, that's at 55%. Like, I'll take that with how good he is defensively, especially next to Carnival LSJ4 Goku. But Jeets' giant ape form is actually looking pretty good. You know, you're looking at Q plus 6, 318% attack with guaranteed crit, and 100% attack raise on super attack. Now, I'm not exactly sure without seeing it, the exact numbers he's going to be putting out while in Giant Ape. But going off the numbers he's got, especially with the guaranteed crit and the 100% attack raise on super attack, that actually looks like worthwhile for free damage. Kind of like Carnival LSJ for Goku's Giant Ape form. Like, that's actually worthwhile. That is actually going to do some type of impactful damage without you essentially doing like really minor chip damage. So already just looking at the numbers, I'm a big fan of his Giant Ape form over the others. Let's see if we can lose some HP here. I mean, we are on 78%. I purposely didn't put him in his standby just so he was a bit weaker. But Goku does have type advantage here, so I highly doubt he's really going to be taking any damage unless maybe he gets super attacked. Let's see. Hopefully it actually does enough for us to transform. I mean, it did damage, but again, I don't think it's enough for us to actually transform. We need to get down to 40% HP. Yeah, we're on 63%. Unless Gohan's going to take some damage on normals, I don't think we're going to quite get it. But again, I'm not overly bothered. You know, all Giant Ape forms, or essentially all Giant forms, Fury modes, Rage modes, all of those transformations are pretty much, you have a Ghost Usher turn, a free turn of doing chip damage. As I said, with what Jeets has in his passive, with the crit and how much attack he's getting, and 100% raise on SA effect, you're actually looking at good free damage where you can actually do some noticeable damage to enemies' HP bars. We're not going to get it, which is unfortunate. But overall, I can't lie, Dokkan has been blessing. They've been nice in my boy Jeets for the last few months. And they've dropped another great EZA, and he's another unit that really benefits from dual Carnival LSJ4 Gokus. I mean, I don't doubt he'll be fine with just one. He benefits from dual of them, his support, and we finally have a slot 1 unit to go on one of these 220% leads. You can let me know your thoughts of Jeets down in the comments. I like him a lot. I think he's really, really good. Let me know your thoughts. I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care, have a great day, and peace.